the moment everything changed. It wasn't the physical pain or confusion that struck me, it was the profound silence that followed. Time seemed to pause, and my awareness shifted from the tangible world I knew to a realm that defied explanation. I was no longer tethered to my body, no longer burdened by the heaviness of earthly existence. Instead, I was floating in an unfamiliar space, surrounded by a stillness that I became acutely aware of my surroundings, but not in the way I had been accustomed to perceiving them. There were no walls, no horizons, no landmarks. Instead, there was light, brilliant, radiant light that seemed to emanate from all directions, filling the space with warmth and a sense of peace. This light wasn't harsh or overwhelming, it was alive, pulsating with energy and purpose. It wasn't just something I could see, it was something I could feel. A presence that wrapped around me like a protective embrace. As I tried to make sense of what was happening, I noticed that I wasn't alone. At first, I couldn't see anyone, but I could sense presences all around me, beings of light that exuded kindness and understanding. They didn't speak in words, but their thoughts flowed directly into my consciousness, conveying reassurance and a sense of welcome. I realized then that I was somewhere far beyond the physical world, in a space where communication and connection transcended language and form. Though I couldn't yet grasp the full significance of this place, I felt no fear. Instead, I was overwhelmed by a sense of clarity and understanding, as if layers of confusion and doubt were being gently peeled away. The worries and concerns that had occupied my mind moments before now seemed distant and insignificant, replaced by an awareness that went far deeper than anything I had ever experienced. As I adjusted to this new reality, I became aware of a presence that stood out among the others. It was unlike anything I had encountered before, vast and powerful, yet profoundly loving and intimate. This presence didn't just surround me, it resonated within me, touching every part of my being with a depth of understanding that was almost overwhelming. Though I couldn't see a physical form, I knew without a doubt that this presence was the source of the light, the energy, and the peace that filled this space. Without words, the presence began to communicate with me, revealing truths that felt both deeply personal and universally significant. It showed me my life, not as a series of disconnected events, but as a seamless thread woven into a much larger tapestry. I could see the connections between my choices, my relationships, and the ripple effects they had created. Every moment of kindness, every act of love, every decision born from fear or doubt, all of it was laid bare before me. Not as a judgment but as a lesson. As I observed these threads, I began to understand the profound interconnectedness of all things. My life wasn't an isolated story, it was part of a vast and intricate web of light and energy that encompassed every being, every action, and every moment. This web wasn't static, it was alive, constantly shifting and evolving in response to the choices and intentions of those within it. I could see how even the smallest actions created ripples that extended far beyond what I had ever imagined, touching lives and circumstances I would never know. The presence then guided me to focus on specific moments in my life, instances where my actions had created particularly strong ripples within the web. Some of these moments were joyful, like times when I had extended kindness or offered support to someone in need. I could see how these acts of love had brightened the threads around me, creating patterns of light that continued to grow and expand. But I was also shown moments of pain, anger, or selfishness, where my choices had introduced tension into the web, creating knots and breaks that disrupted the flow of light. What struck me most was the absence of judgment in these revelations. The presence wasn't there to condemn or praise me, it was there to teach me, to help me see the impact of my choices and to understand the importance of living with intention and love. I realized that the knots and breaks weren't permanent, they could be mended through acts of forgiveness, understanding, and connection. The web wasn't a static structure, it was a living, breathing entity that reflected the ongoing evolution of every thread within it. As I continued to explore this web of connections, the presence began to reveal deeper truths about the nature of existence. It showed me that the light I was experiencing wasn't just a part of this realm, it was the essence of all creation. It was the force that bound everything together, the energy that gave life its meaning and purpose. This light wasn't confined to this space, it was present in the physical world as well. Though often hidden beneath the layers of fear, doubt, and distraction that clouded human perception, The presence then turned my attention to the role of choice in shaping the web. It showed me how every decision, no matter how small, contributed to the flow of light within the tapestry. Choices made with love and authenticity created patterns of beauty and harmony, while choices driven by fear or self-interest introduced tension and discord. Yet even in the moments of greatest darkness, the light was never completely extinguished. It was always there, waiting to be nurtured and rekindled through acts of courage, compassion, and connection. As I absorbed these lessons, I began to see my own life in a new light. The struggles and challenges that had once seemed so overwhelming now appeared as opportunities for growth and transformation. The relationships that had brought me pain were also the ones that had taught me the most about love, forgiveness, and resilience. Every moment, no matter how difficult, had contributed to the richness and complexity of my thread, shaping it into something uniquely beautiful. The presence then showed me something even more profound: the eternal nature of the web. It wasn't confined to the physical world or limited by time, it extended into infinity, encompassing every being, every moment, and every possibility. The connections I had formed, the light I had added to the web, and the ripples I had created would continue to exist long after my physical life had ended. My thread was just one part of a much larger story, a story that was still being written and that I had the power to shape with every choice I made. As the light around me began to shift, I felt a gentle pull, as if I were being drawn back to the physical world. The presence conveyed one final message, a reminder of the lessons I had learned and the importance of carrying them forward. It wasn't about perfection or achieving some grand purpose, it was about living with intention, adding light to the web, and nurturing the connections that gave life its meaning. When I opened my eyes, I was back in my body, surrounded by the familiar sounds and sensations of the physical world. But I knew that something fundamental had changed. I had seen the web of light, felt the presence of its source, and understood the profound interconnectedness of all things. And though I couldn't remain in that radiant realm, I carried its lessons with me, a reminder that every moment is an opportunity to add light, mend connections, and contribute to the eternal beauty of the tapestry. Returning to the physical world felt both familiar and foreign. The sensations of my body, its weight, its aches, and its vulnerability, brought me back to a reality I had always known. Yet something within me had shifted irreversibly. The vision of the web of light lingered in my mind, vivid and alive, revealing truths that I couldn't unsee. My life, once a series of disconnected moments and relationships, now appeared as a single thread woven into a vast, intricate tapestry. This tapestry wasn't static or bound by time. It was alive, constantly shifting and evolving, its patterns shaped by the choices, actions, and intentions of every thread within it. As I began to process the enormity of what I had seen, I realized that the threads weren't just individual lives, they were the connections between us. The moments of kindness, conflict, love, and forgiveness that defined our interactions. Every action, no matter how small, contributed to the flow of light or introduced tension into the web. The guide, or presence, I had encountered in that radiant realm had emphasized this interconnectedness. I had seen how the smallest gestures, a smile, a kind word, or a moment of patience, sent ripples of light through the tapestry, influencing threads far beyond my immediate reach. I had also seen how acts of anger, fear, or selfishness created knots or breaks, disrupting the flow of light and weakening the connections around them. These moments weren't irreversible, but they required conscious effort to mend. One of the most striking revelations from the vision was the impact of intention. It wasn't just the actions themselves that mattered, but the energy and motivation behind them. In the tapestry, I had seen threads that shone brightly not because of grand or heroic deeds but because they were infused with love, authenticity, and selflessness. Conversely, threads that carried the energy of resentment, greed, or apathy appeared dim or tense, their light diminished by the weight of those emotions. As I reflected on these truths, memories of my own life began to surface. Moments where I had contributed to the light and others where I had introduced tension into the web. I thought about the times I had acted out of love, even when it was difficult, and the ripples of connection those choices had created. I also thought about the moments when I had let fear or anger guide my actions, and the harm those choices had caused, both to myself and to others. One memory in particular stood out. A time when I had held onto resentment toward a friend who had betrayed my trust. For years, that resentment had weighed on me, affecting not only our relationship but also my ability to connect with others. In the vision, I had seen how that knot in my thread had disrupted the flow of light, creating tension that extended far beyond our friendship. But I had also seen how forgiveness, when offered sincerely, could mend even the most tangled threads. In forgiving my friend, I had not only freed myself from the weight of that resentment but also restored the flow of light within the tapestry. The guide had shown me that forgiveness wasn't just an act of grace, it was a way of healing the web, of allowing light to flow freely once more. It wasn't about excusing harmful actions or pretending that pain didn't exist. It was about choosing to release the hold that anger and hurt had over me. Forgiveness, I learned, was as much for the giver as for the receiver, a way of restoring balance and harmony within the tapestry. Another powerful lesson from the vision was the role of gratitude in strengthening the web. Gratitude appeared in the tapestry as golden threads, creating patterns of light that radiated resilience and harmony. In one scene, I had seen a woman who, despite facing immense challenges, chose to focus on the blessings in her life, a supportive family, small moments of joy, and the kindness of strangers. Her thread shone brightly, its golden light touching the threads around her and inspiring others to adopt the same perspective. Gratitude, I realized, wasn't about ignoring pain or difficulty. It was about recognizing the light that existed even in the darkest moments. It was about choosing to see the beauty in the connections we shared, the lessons we learned, and the love that persisted despite the challenges we faced. Gratitude didn't erase hardship, but it transformed how it was experienced, allowing the flow of light to continue even in the face of adversity. As I thought about these lessons, I began to see my own life as a series of opportunities to contribute to the tapestry. Every interaction, every choice, was a chance to add light, mend connections, and strengthen the web. It wasn't about achieving perfection or avoiding mistakes. It was about living with intention and authenticity. Recognizing that even the smallest actions carried weight, I also began to understand the importance of community within the tapestry. In the vision, I had seen how threads that were closely connected to others were stronger and more resilient, their light amplified by the support and love they received. Communities that came together with shared intentions, whether to support a grieving family, restore a damaged environment, or simply celebrate life, created patterns of light that were especially vibrant and enduring. These collective efforts didn't just benefit the individuals involved, they strengthened the entire tapestry, creating ripples of light that extended far beyond the immediate moment. But I had also seen how isolation and division could weaken the web. Threads that were disconnected or strained by conflict appeared dim and fragile, their light struggling to flow. In one scene, I had seen a community divided by mistrust and competition. Their threads were tangled and tense, their connections frayed by the weight of unresolved tension. Yet even in this darkness, there was hope. When one person chose to act with compassion and understanding, their thread began to shine, inspiring others to do the same. Slowly, the light returned, mending the connections and restoring harmony to the web. These lessons weren't just abstract ideas, they were practical truths that I could carry with me into my everyday life. They reminded me of the power of choice, the importance of connection, and the transformative potential of love, gratitude, and forgiveness. They showed me that even in the face of challenges, I had the ability to contribute to the light, to strengthen the tapestry, and to create ripples of connection and meaning that extended far beyond myself. As I sat with these revelations, I felt a deep sense of purpose and responsibility. I understood now that my life wasn't just about my own journey, it was part of something far greater. A living masterpiece shaped by the contributions of every being within it. Every thread mattered, every connection had value, and every moment was an opportunity to add light to the web. The vision of the tapestry wasn't just a glimpse into another realm, it was a guide for how to live more fully and authentically in this one. And as I prepared to move forward, I carried these lessons with me, a reminder that even the smallest choices could shape the web in profound and lasting ways. As the lessons of the tapestry settled deeper into my consciousness, one truth stood out more vividly than the rest: the power of intention. The threads of the tapestry were not merely passive representations of life's events and relationships, they were alive, pulsating with energy that was directly influenced by the intentions behind each action, thought, and decision. This realization revealed the profound role that intention played in shaping not only individual threads but also the entire tapestry. The guide in the vision had emphasized that intention was the invisible force behind the flow of light. It wasn't just about what we did, but why we did it, the motivations, emotions, and authenticity that fueled our actions. Threads imbued with pure and loving intentions glowed with a steady, vibrant light, creating patterns of harmony and resilience. Conversely, threads carrying intentions rooted in fear, anger, or self-interest appeared dim or strained, their energy blocked by the static of those emotions. One of the most striking examples of intention's power involved a scene the guide had shown me in the tapestry. I saw a man who, despite living a modest and seemingly unremarkable life, had a thread that radiated with extraordinary light. His intentions, I realized, were the source of this brilliance. Every act of kindness he performed, whether holding the door for a stranger, listening patiently to a friend, or offering encouragement to a struggling colleague, was infused with genuine care and selflessness. These small, everyday gestures created ripples of light that touched countless lives, many of which he would never know. In contrast, I saw another thread that appeared tense and muted. Despite belonging to someone who had achieved significant worldly success, this person's actions, while outwardly impressive, were driven primarily by a desire for recognition and control. The guide explained that while the material results of these actions might have been celebrated in the physical world, their impact within the tapestry was limited. The energy behind the actions lacked the authenticity and love needed to create lasting light. This revelation challenged me to reflect on my own intentions. How often had I performed acts of kindness out of obligation or a desire to be liked, rather than from a place of genuine love? How many decisions had I made based on fear or insecurity, rather than trust and authenticity? The guide reassured me that these moments weren't failures but opportunities for growth. The tapestry wasn't rigid or unforgiving, it was alive, constantly responding to the energy we brought to it. With each new choice, we had the power to realign our intentions and restore the flow of light. The vision also revealed the importance of aligning our intentions with a greater purpose. In the tapestry, I saw threads that were particularly strong and vibrant, threads that represented individuals who had dedicated themselves to serving others. These people weren't necessarily famous or celebrated. Many of them lived quiet lives, unnoticed by the world, yet their threads shone with a unique brilliance, their light creating patterns of beauty and strength that uplifted the entire web. One example involved a teacher who had spent her life nurturing the minds and spirits of her students. Her intention wasn't just to impart knowledge but to inspire a love of learning and a belief in each student's potential. Her thread was woven into the threads of countless others, her light rippling outward as her students carried her lessons into their own lives. The guide showed me how her intention, rooted in love and service, had created a legacy of light that would continue to influence the tapestry long after her life had ended. Another example involved a doctor who had chosen his profession not for wealth or prestige but to ease suffering and bring comfort to those in need. His thread was steady and strong, its light brightening the threads of his patients, their families, and even his colleagues. The guide emphasized that his intention, his desire to heal and help, was what gave his actions their enduring impact. It wasn't about the scale of his work but the sincerity of his heart. The guide then showed me how intention could transform even the most challenging circumstances. In one scene, I saw a woman facing a difficult decision that would impact her family. Her thread flickered with tension as she wrestled with doubt and fear. But when she chose to act with courage and integrity, her thread began to shine, its light extending outward to strengthen the connections around her. Her intention, though not immune to fear, was guided by love and a desire to do what was right. This choice didn't just resolve her immediate challenge, it created ripples of light that influenced her family's threads for generations. As I absorbed these lessons, I began to understand that intention wasn't just about individual actions, it was about how we approached life as a whole. It was about the energy we brought to our relationships, our work, and our challenges. It was about living with authenticity, aligning our choices with our values, and being mindful of the impact we had on others. The vision also revealed that intention wasn't a fixed state, It could evolve and grow as we learned and changed. I saw threads that had started dim or tense, their light blocked by fear or pain. But as these individuals chose to realign their intentions, seeking forgiveness, embracing gratitude, or opening themselves to love, their threads began to brighten, their energy flowing more freely. The guide emphasized that it was never too late to transform our intentions, to choose light over darkness and connection over isolation. One of the most beautiful truths revealed in the vision was the reciprocal nature of intention. When we acted with love and authenticity, our light not only strengthened our own thread but also illuminated the threads around us, creating a ripple effect that uplifted the entire tapestry. In one scene, I saw a man offering forgiveness to someone who had wronged him. This act of grace not only untangled the knots in his own thread but also softened the tension in the other person's thread, creating an opportunity for healing and connection. I also saw how intention could create resilience within the tapestry. Threads that were aligned with love and authenticity were more flexible, able to withstand the challenges and tensions of life without breaking. These threads weren't immune to hardship, but their light remained steady, their energy flowing even in the face of adversity. The guide explained that this resilience wasn't about avoiding pain or difficulty. It was about choosing to respond with courage, compassion, and a commitment to the greater good. As the vision of intention began to fade, I felt a deep sense of clarity and purpose. I understood now that my life wasn't just a series of actions and events. It was an opportunity to contribute to the flow of light, to create patterns of connection and meaning that enriched the tapestry. Every choice, every interaction, was a chance to live with intention and to align my energy with the greater purpose of the web. The power of intention wasn't just a lesson from the tapestry, it was a call to action. It was a reminder that even the smallest acts, when performed with love and authenticity, could create ripples of light that extended far beyond what I could see. And as I prepared to move forward, I carried this truth with me, ready to approach each moment with a renewed commitment to live with intention and contribute to the beauty of the tapestry. As the vision of the tapestry unfolded further, my attention was drawn to a particularly tangled area of the web. Here, the threads were knotted and strained, their light dimmed by tension and discord. The guide explained that these knots represented unresolved pain, anger, and resentment, the emotional barriers that disrupted the flow of light and weakened the connections between threads. Yet even in this strained section, there was hope. The guide revealed that forgiveness was the key to untangling these knots and restoring harmony to the tapestry. Forgiveness, I learned, wasn't simply an act of kindness or moral obligation. It was a profound force of healing and renewal, capable of dissolving even the deepest tensions within the web. In the tapestry, acts of forgiveness appeared as golden waves of light that traveled outward from the threads involved, softening knots, mending breaks, and strengthening connections. These waves didn't just restore the flow of light, they amplified it, creating ripples of harmony that extended far beyond the immediate relationship. One of the first examples the guide showed me involved a father and daughter who had been estranged for many years. Their threads were tightly knotted, their light constrained by the weight of unresolved hurt. I could see how their separation affected not only their own lives but also the threads of their family and friends, creating a ripple effect of tension and discord. Yet when the father reached out to his daughter with an apology, his thread began to glow with a steady light. The daughter's thread, though hesitant at first, gradually brightened as she chose to forgive him. This act of reconciliation sent a wave of golden light through their section of the tapestry, restoring not only their connection but also the harmony of the surrounding threads. The guide emphasized that forgiveness didn't erase the pain of the past or excuse harmful actions. Instead, it released the hold that anger and resentment had over the threads, allowing the light to flow freely once more. Forgiveness wasn't about forgetting, it was about choosing to prioritize healing over hurt, connection over division. I was then shown a powerful example of self-forgiveness. In the tapestry, I saw a man whose thread was heavy with guilt and regret. His actions in the past had caused harm, and though he had sought forgiveness from others, he struggled to forgive himself. His thread appeared dim and frayed, its light constricted by the weight of his self-judgment. The guide explained that self-forgiveness was just as important as forgiving others, as it allowed the flow of light to return to the thread, restoring its strength and vitality. when the man finally chose to release his guilt and accept his own humanity. His thread began to transform. The tension eased, the frayed edges mended, and the light grew brighter. This act of self-forgiveness didn't just heal his own thread, it also influenced the threads of those around him, creating a ripple effect of compassion and understanding. Forgiveness, I realized, was a force that transcended time and space. In the tapestry, I saw threads that carried the weight of generational pain, patterns of conflict, mistrust, and trauma passed down from one generation to the next. Yet when one person in the family chose to forgive, it created a ripple of healing that extended both backward and forward in time. This act of forgiveness didn't change the events of the past, but it transformed their impact, allowing the light to flow freely through the threads once more. One of the most striking examples of this generational healing involved a woman who had experienced a painful childhood. Her thread carried the tension of that pain, and it influenced her relationships with her own children, creating patterns of disconnection and misunderstanding. Yet when she chose to forgive her parents, not by excusing their actions but by releasing her anger and seeking understanding, her thread began to brighten. This light extended to her children's threads, softening their tensions and creating new opportunities for connection and growth. The guide conveyed that forgiveness wasn't always immediate or easy. It often required time, introspection, and the willingness to confront deep pain. Yet even the smallest steps toward forgiveness could create powerful shifts in the tapestry. In one example, I saw a woman who, though not yet ready to reconcile with someone who had hurt her, chose to release a portion of her resentment. This initial act created a faint thread of light between them, a connection that grew stronger with each subsequent act of compassion and understanding. The guide also showed me the role of collective forgiveness within communities. In one scene, I saw a neighborhood that had been divided by a long-standing dispute. Their threads were tangled and tense, their light overshadowed by mistrust and hostility. Yet when members of the community came together to acknowledge the pain and seek reconciliation, their threads began to weave together in a harmonious pattern. This collective act of forgiveness didn't just heal the immediate relationships, it created a foundation of unity and resilience that strengthened the entire tapestry. Forgiveness, I learned, was not about weakness or passivity. It was an act of profound strength and courage, a choice to break the cycle of pain and create space for healing and growth. In the tapestry, I saw how acts of forgiveness often inspired others to do the same, creating a cascade of light that transformed even the darkest sections of the web. One of the most moving lessons from the vision involved forgiving those who had passed away. In the tapestry, I saw threads that were knotted with unresolved pain from relationships that had ended in loss. These knots weighed heavily on the living threads, constricting their light and limiting their flow. Yet when individuals chose to release their resentment and forgive those who had departed, the knots began to loosen. This act of forgiveness didn't change the past, but it allowed the living threads to move forward with greater freedom and light. As I reflected on these lessons, I began to see my own life in a new light. I thought about the relationships where pain and misunderstanding had created distance and tension. I thought about the times when I had struggled to forgive others, and myself, and the weight that those struggles had placed on my thread. The guide reminded me that forgiveness wasn't about perfection or immediate resolution, it was about taking the first step. About choosing to release the hold that pain had over my light. The vision of forgiveness began to fade, but its lessons remained etched in my heart. I understood now that forgiveness wasn't just an act of grace, it was a way of nurturing the flow of light and restoring harmony to the tapestry. It was a reminder that even in the face of pain and division, there was always the possibility of healing, always the opportunity to add light to the web. Forgiveness was more than a choice, it was a force of transformation. A way of contributing to the beauty and resilience of the tapestry. And as I prepared to move forward, I carried this truth with me, a reminder that every knot could be untangled, every tension could be eased, and every thread had the potential to shine with light once more. The tapestry's light pulsed with a unique warmth, drawing my attention to areas where the threads shimmered in gold. These sections, glowing more brightly than others, represented the force of gratitude. The guide explained that gratitude wasn't just a fleeting feeling or polite acknowledgement, it was an energy, a resonance that infused threads with resilience, harmony, and strength. It was a force that amplified the light within the tapestry, creating ripples that extended far beyond the individuals expressing it. In the tapestry, acts of gratitude appeared as golden waves flowing through the threads. These waves strengthened connections, softened tension, and illuminated even the darkest sections of the web. I saw how gratitude created patterns of beauty and cohesion, weaving threads together in ways that uplifted the entire tapestry. The guide showed me an example of a young mother facing significant challenges, financial difficulties, long work hours, and the demands of raising her children alone. Despite her struggles, she made it a daily habit to reflect on the blessings in her life, her children's laughter, the kindness of a neighbor, the beauty of a sunrise. Her thread glowed with a steady, golden light, and this light extended outward, touching the threads of her children, her friends, and even strangers who encountered her. Her gratitude didn't erase her challenges, but it transformed how she experienced them, allowing her to face them with strength and hope. Gratitude, I realized, wasn't just a response to positive circumstances. In the tapestry, I saw threads that shone with golden light even in the midst of pain and hardship. These were people who chose to focus on the light that remained, no matter how faint, and to honor the connections and blessings in their lives. This choice didn't ignore or diminish their struggles, but it allowed the flow of light to continue, creating opportunities for healing and renewal. One of the most striking examples of gratitude's power involved a man who had lost everything in a natural disaster. His home was destroyed, his belongings gone, yet his thread shone with an unwavering light. As I observed his section of the tapestry, I saw how his gratitude for the safety of his family and the support of his community created ripples of light that inspired those around him. His thread didn't just survive the disaster, it became a beacon, illuminating the threads of others and helping them find their own light. The guide emphasized that gratitude wasn't about denying pain or pretending that challenges didn't exist. It was about choosing to see the light that persisted, even in the darkest moments. Gratitude was a way of aligning with the flow of the tapestry, of recognizing the beauty and interconnectedness that existed even in the midst of struggle. I was then shown how gratitude influenced relationships. In the tapestry, I saw threads representing a couple who had been married for many years. Their thread was bright but had occasional knots and tensions, reflecting the challenges they had faced together. Yet when they chose to express gratitude for one another, acknowledging the qualities they appreciated and the moments they cherished, their thread began to glow with a golden light. This light softened the tension in their connection, creating space for deeper understanding and renewal. The guide revealed that gratitude wasn't just about what we received, it was also about what we gave. Acts of gratitude, whether a heartfelt thank you, a note of appreciation, or a simple smile, appeared in the tapestry as golden threads that strengthened connections and created ripples of light. In one example, I saw a woman writing letters of thanks to people who had supported her during a difficult time. Her gratitude created waves of light that extended far beyond the recipients, inspiring them to act with kindness and gratitude in their own lives. The vision also showed how gratitude could transform entire communities. In one scene, I saw a neighborhood coming together to restore a park that had fallen into disrepair. Their shared efforts, infused with gratitude for the space and for one another, created a network of golden threads that wove the community together. This collective gratitude didn't just beautify the park, it strengthened the bonds within the neighborhood, creating patterns of connection and harmony that endured long after the project was completed. Gratitude, I learned, had the power to transcend time and space. In the tapestry, I saw threads that carried the energy of gratitude from one generation to the next. In one example, a grandmother's habit of giving thanks for every blessing, no matter how small, created a legacy of light that influenced her children, grandchildren, and beyond. Her gratitude became a source of resilience and strength for her family, providing a foundation that endured even after her passing. The guide then showed me how gratitude could heal wounds and mend broken connections. In one scene, I saw a friendship that had been strained by misunderstanding and conflict. Both threads were dim, their light overshadowed by tension. Yet when one person chose to express gratitude for the friendship they had shared, their thread began to brighten. This act of gratitude softened the tension in the other thread, creating space for reconciliation and renewal. As I reflected on these lessons, I began to see my own life through the lens of gratitude. I thought about the moments when I had focused on what was missing rather than what I had. When I had taken blessings and connections for granted. The guide reminded me that gratitude wasn't about perfection or constant positivity. It was about making a conscious choice to honor the light. To recognize the beauty in the connections and blessings that surrounded me. The vision also revealed the role of gratitude in building resilience. Threads infused with gratitude were more flexible, able to withstand the challenges and tensions of life without breaking. These threads didn't avoid hardship, but their light remained steady, providing strength and stability even in the face of adversity. Gratitude, I realized, was a source of power and renewal, a way of grounding ourselves in the light that connects us all. The final lesson the guide shared about gratitude was its relationship with intention. In the tapestry, I saw how acts of gratitude, when performed with sincerity and love, created ripples of light that extended far beyond the immediate moment. Gratitude wasn't just a reaction, it was a choice. A way of aligning with the flow of the tapestry and contributing to its beauty and harmony. As the vision of gratitude began to fade, I felt a profound sense of peace and purpose. I understood now that gratitude wasn't just a fleeting emotion, it was a way of living. A way of interacting with a world that recognized the interconnectedness of all things. Gratitude was a force that strengthened the tapestry, creating patterns of light and connection that endured far beyond the moments in which they were formed. And as I prepared to move forward, I carried this truth with me, a reminder that every moment was an opportunity to choose gratitude, to honor the light, and to contribute to the beauty of the tapestry. As the tapestry unfolded further, the guide directed my attention to a concept both intricate and profound: the interplay between free will and the greater design. The threads of the tapestry, representing individual lives and choices, were dynamic, constantly weaving and shifting in response to the actions of each person. Yet these threads were not random, they formed patterns that suggested an underlying purpose. A larger design that connected all things. The guide explained that free will was one of the most extraordinary gifts given to each thread. It allowed individuals to make choices that shaped their lives and the lives of those around them. Every decision, no matter how small, created ripples within the tapestry, influencing the flow of light and the connections between threads. Free will was not confined by the boundaries of the physical world. Its effects extended into the very fabric of existence, shaping the patterns of the tapestry in profound ways. In the vision, I saw how the exercise of free will could create beauty and harmony within the tapestry. In one example, a woman chose to act with courage and kindness in the face of adversity, offering support to a stranger in need. Her thread glowed with a steady light, and this light extended outward, touching the threads of the stranger and those who witnessed her actions. Her choice not only strengthened her own thread but also created new connections and patterns of light within the tapestry. The guide emphasized that free will wasn't about making perfect choices or avoiding mistakes. It was about the energy and intention behind each decision. Threads that acted with love, authenticity, and integrity contributed to the flow of light, while those driven by fear, anger, or selfishness introduced tension into the web. Yet even these moments of tension were not irreparable. The tapestry was forgiving, allowing for growth, redemption, and the opportunity to realign with the flow of light. In another scene, I saw how free will could create discord within the tapestry. A man, driven by jealousy and pride, made choices that strained his relationships and weakened his connections to others. His thread appeared dim and tense, its light constricted by the weight of his emotions. Yet as he chose to reflect on his actions and seek reconciliation, his thread began to brighten. The guide showed me how his willingness to take responsibility and make amends restored the flow of light within his thread and mended the connections he had strained. The vision revealed that the greater design wasn't rigid or predetermined. It was a living, evolving masterpiece shaped by the choices of every thread within it. The patterns of the tapestry were not dictated by a single plan but emerged from the interplay of free will and the guiding energy of light and love. This design was both intricate and flexible, capable of adapting to the choices and intentions of each thread. One of the most powerful examples of this interplay involved a community coming together after a tragedy. Their threads, initially dimmed by grief and loss, began to shine as they chose to support one another, offering compassion, understanding, and hope. Their collective actions created a network of light that not only healed their immediate community but also inspired others to act with kindness and unity. The guide explained that these choices, rooted in free will, aligned with the greater design, amplifying the flow of light and creating patterns of beauty and resilience. The guide also showed me how free will and the greater design work together to create moments of synchronicity. In one scene, I saw two strangers meeting by chance, their threads crossing in a way that seemed random but was anything but. Their connection, influenced by their individual choices, created a ripple of light that transformed both of their lives. The guide conveyed that these moments weren't coincidences, they were reflections of the tapestry's dynamic nature, where free will and the guiding flow of light brought threads together at precisely the right time. Another revelation involved the role of obstacles and challenges in the tapestry. These were not punishments or arbitrary events but opportunities for growth and transformation. In one example, I saw a man facing a series of setbacks that tested his resilience and character. His thread appeared strained, its light flickering under the weight of his struggles. Yet as he chose to persevere and act with integrity, his thread began to glow more brightly. The guide explained that challenges were an integral part of the tapestry, offering moments to exercise free will in ways that aligned with the greater design. I also observed how free will could influence the legacy of a thread within the tapestry. In one example, a woman's decision to mentor and support young people created ripples of light that extended far beyond her own lifetime. Her thread, though no longer active in the physical sense, continued to influence the threads of those she had helped, creating patterns of connection and meaning that endured within the tapestry. The guide emphasized that every choice we made had the potential to contribute to this legacy, to add light and beauty to the web in ways that would resonate for generations. The guide conveyed one final truth about free will. It was not a burden but a gift, an invitation to participate actively in the creation of the tapestry. Each choice, no matter how small, was an opportunity to contribute to the flow of light, to mend breaks, and to create patterns of connection and meaning. Free will allowed each thread to shape its own story while remaining an integral part of the larger design. As the vision of free will and the greater design began to fade, I felt a deep sense of empowerment and responsibility. I understood now that my thread wasn't just a passive part of the tapestry, it was an active participant in its creation. Every choice I made had the potential to shape the web, to add light, and to contribute to the unfolding patterns of connection and beauty. This understanding wasn't daunting, it was liberating. It reminded me that even in the face of challenges, I had the power to choose how I contributed to the tapestry. I could act with love, authenticity, and courage, knowing that every action, no matter how small, added to the beauty and harmony of the web. And as I prepared to move forward, I carried this truth with me, a reminder that my choices mattered, that they were a vital part of the living, evolving masterpiece that was the tapestry. The guide shifted my attention to sections of the tapestry where threads were stretched thin, frayed, or weighed down by tension. These areas reflected moments of hardship, adversity, and loss, times when the light within the threads seemed dim, their flow of energy disrupted by the weight of their experiences. Yet, even in these strained sections, there was an unmistakable glimmer of hope. The guide revealed that resilience was the force that allowed threads to withstand these challenges, to adapt and recover, and to continue contributing to the tapestry. Resilience wasn't about avoiding difficulties or emerging unscathed. It was about finding strength in vulnerability, about bending without breaking, and about choosing to move forward despite the weight of the moment. In the tapestry, threads that embodied resilience shone with a unique light, a steady, unwavering glow that signified their ability to endure and grow in the face of challenges. This resilience wasn't just an inherent quality, it was something cultivated through choices, connections, and an alignment with the flow of light. In one example, I saw a young woman whose thread was taut and strained, reflecting the immense pressure she faced as the sole caretaker of her family. Her responsibilities were overwhelming, her resources limited, yet her thread didn't break. Instead, it glowed with a steady light, fueled by her determination and the small moments of joy and connection she found in her daily life. Her resilience wasn't just about surviving, it was about finding meaning and purpose even in the midst of struggle. The guide emphasized that resilience often began with small, Intentional acts, choosing hope over despair, connection over isolation, and love over fear. These choices didn't erase the challenges, but they created ripples of light that strengthened the thread and its connections to others. In the tapestry, I saw how these ripples extended outward, inspiring resilience in those who witnessed or benefited from them. One particularly powerful scene involved a community recovering from a natural disaster. Their threads were tangled and dim, burdened by the weight of loss and uncertainty. Yet as they came together to rebuild, their collective resilience began to shine. Acts of kindness, collaboration, and mutual support created waves of light that illuminated their section of the tapestry, restoring not only their physical surroundings but also their emotional and spiritual connections. The guide revealed that resilience wasn't just an individual effort, it thrived in connection. In the shared determination to move forward together, resilience, I learned, was deeply tied to perspective. In the tapestry, threads that focused on the light, on moments of gratitude, love, and possibility, were more likely to recover and shine, even in the face of adversity. In one example, a man who had lost his job chose to see the setback as an opportunity for growth. His thread, though initially dimmed by fear and uncertainty, began to glow more brightly as he found a new path that aligned with his values and passions. The guide explained that perspective wasn't about denying pain or difficulty, it was about choosing to see the light that remained and nurturing it. I was then shown how resilience could be cultivated through preparation and intention. Threads that had built strong foundations of faith, self-awareness, and supportive relationships were more flexible, able to bend and adapt without breaking. In one example, a family that had prioritized close connections and mutual trust was able to weather a financial crisis with greater ease and unity. Their thread shone with a steady light, its resilience rooted in the strength of their relationships and the energy of their shared intentions. Another revelation involved the role of resilience in healing. In the tapestry, I saw threads that carried the weight of trauma and pain, their light flickering under the strain. Yet as these individuals chose to seek help, to confront their pain, and to embrace the possibility of healing, their threads began to transform. The light returned, brighter and more vibrant than before, as they integrated their experiences into a deeper understanding of themselves and their connections to others. Resilience, I realized, wasn't just about individual survival, it was about contributing to the flow of light within the tapestry. In one scene, I saw a woman who had faced profound loss yet chose to use her experiences to support others going through similar struggles. Her thread shone brightly, its light creating ripples that strengthened the threads of those she helped. The guide conveyed that resilience was a gift not only to ourselves but also to the web as a whole. A way of adding light and meaning even in the darkest moments. The guide also revealed how resilience could inspire transformation. In the tapestry, I saw threads that had been dim and strained, their energy blocked by fear or despair. Yet when these individuals witnessed acts of resilience in others, whether a friend's kindness, a stranger's courage, or a community's unity, they found the strength to begin their own journey of recovery. These moments of inspiration created waves of light that illuminated entire sections of the tapestry, showing how resilience was both personal and collective. One of the most moving lessons from the vision involved the relationship between resilience and vulnerability. In the tapestry, I saw threads that had experienced significant pain yet chose to remain open, to seek connection and support rather than retreating into isolation. These threads didn't hide their struggles, instead, they allowed their vulnerability to become a source of strength, creating connections that were deep and authentic. The guide explained that resilience wasn't about being unbreakable, it was about embracing the full spectrum of human experience, finding light even in the darkest moments. As I reflected on these lessons, I began to see my own moments of adversity in a new light. The challenges that had once seemed insurmountable now appeared as opportunities for growth and connection. The times when I had felt most vulnerable were also the times when I had experienced the greatest depth of love and support. The guide reminded me that resilience wasn't about avoiding hardship, it was about choosing to move forward, to nurture the light within myself and others, and to contribute to the beauty of the tapestry. The vision of resilience began to fade, but its lessons remained etched in my heart. I understood now that resilience wasn't just a quality, it was a practice. a way of living that recognized the interconnectedness of all threads and the enduring power of light. It was a reminder that even in the face of challenges, there was always the possibility of renewal, always the opportunity to contribute to the flow of light within the tapestry. And as I prepared to move forward, I carried this truth with me, a reminder that resilience wasn't about avoiding the storms but about learning to navigate them with courage, compassion, and a commitment to the greater good. As the vision of the tapestry continued to unfold, the guide directed my attention to a profound truth about connection, its eternal nature. Every thread, every interaction, and every choice left an indelible mark on the tapestry, rippling outward in ways that extended far beyond the present moment. These connections didn't fade or disappear with time. Instead, they wove themselves into the fabric of existence, becoming an enduring part of the greater design. I was shown how even the smallest acts of kindness or moments of connection carried a significance that transcended their immediate impact. In one example, I saw a child offering a flower to an elderly neighbor. This simple gesture created a wave of light that not only brightened their threads but also influenced others who witnessed or heard about the act. The neighbor, touched by the child's kindness, went on to extend warmth and generosity to others, creating ripples of light that continued to grow and spread. The guide explained that these ripples were not confined to the threads directly involved in the interaction. They flowed through the tapestry, touching threads that seemed disconnected at first glance but were intricately linked through the web of connection. In the vision, I saw how the child's act of kindness eventually influenced someone on the other side of the tapestry, a stranger who, inspired by a story they heard, chose to act with compassion in their own life. The threads of the child, the neighbor, and the stranger were now woven together, their light creating a pattern of beauty and harmony. The eternal nature of connection wasn't limited to acts of kindness. I saw how every interaction, whether positive or negative, contributed to the tapestry. In one scene, I observed a moment of conflict between two friends. Their threads were knotted and strained, their light dimmed by misunderstanding and hurt. Yet as one of them chose to reach out with an apology, their connection began to heal. The act of reconciliation didn't just mend their relationship, it also created ripples of light that influenced others around them, demonstrating the transformative power of forgiveness. The guide revealed that even moments of conflict and pain had the potential to contribute to the tapestry in meaningful ways. These experiences, though challenging, were opportunities for growth, understanding, and connection. In the vision, I saw threads that carried the weight of past conflicts, their light constrained by the tension of unresolved emotions. Yet when individuals chose to confront their pain, seek understanding, and offer forgiveness, their threads began to shine more brightly. This light not only restored their connections but also strengthened the surrounding threads, creating a ripple effect of healing and renewal. One of the most profound lessons from the vision involved the role of intention in shaping the eternal impact of connection. The guide showed me a teacher who had dedicated her life to nurturing her students. Her thread was vibrant and steady, its light radiating through the threads of countless others. Her intention, to inspire, support, and empower, infused her actions with a resonance that continued to influence the tapestry long after her life had ended. Her students, inspired by her guidance, carried her light forward in their own lives, creating patterns of connection and meaning that extended across generations. In contrast, I saw threads where actions, though outwardly successful, carried intentions rooted in self-interest or fear. These threads lacked the same resonance, their light confined to the immediate moment. The guide emphasized that the energy behind our actions was as important as the actions themselves. Intentions driven by love, authenticity, and a desire to contribute to the greater good created ripples that endured, while those rooted in ego or insecurity often faded quickly. The vision also revealed how connections between threads were not limited to the physical world. In the tapestry, I saw threads representing relationships with ancestors, loved ones who had passed away, and even the natural world. These connections were as vibrant and dynamic as those in the present moment, their light continuing to influence the web in profound ways. In one example, I saw a man drawing strength from his grandmother's legacy of kindness and resilience. Her thread, though no longer active in the physical sense, remained a source of light and guidance within the tapestry. The guide then showed me how connections could transcend time, healing the past and shaping the future. In one scene, I observed a family grappling with generational pain, a pattern of mistrust and misunderstanding that had strained their threads for decades. Yet when one member chose to break the cycle, seeking reconciliation and understanding, the ripple of light that followed began to heal not only their immediate relationships but also the connections of those who came before and after them. The guide explained that the energy of healing and forgiveness wasn't bound by time, it flowed freely through the tapestry, transforming its patterns in ways that were both immediate and eternal. Another striking revelation involved the interplay between individual and collective connections. In the tapestry, I saw communities that had come together in shared purpose, their threads weaving into vibrant patterns of light. In one example, a group of neighbors collaborated to create a community garden, their collective efforts strengthening their bonds and creating a ripple of harmony that extended far beyond their immediate circle. The guide emphasized that collective connections amplified the flow of light, creating patterns that were greater than the sum of their parts. As I absorbed these lessons, I began to see my own connections in a new light. I thought about the relationships that had shaped my life, the moments of joy, love, and support, as well as the conflicts and misunderstandings. The guide reminded me that every connection, no matter how fleeting or challenging, had contributed to the tapestry. Each interaction was an opportunity to add light, to mend breaks, and to create patterns of connection and meaning that would endure. The eternal impact of connection wasn't just a lesson from the tapestry, it was a call to action. It reminded me that every moment was an opportunity to contribute to the web, to choose love over fear, and to honor the threads that had touched my own. It was a reminder that my life wasn't just about my own thread, it was part of something far greater. A living masterpiece shaped by the connections and contributions of every being within it. As the vision of connection began to fade, I felt a profound sense of purpose and gratitude. I understood now that my actions, no matter how small, carried the potential to create ripples of light that would resonate through the tapestry for generations to come. This understanding wasn't a burden, it was a gift, a reminder that I had the power to contribute to the beauty and harmony of the web, one connection at a time. As the vision of the tapestry deepened, the guide illuminated a concept that united many of the lessons I had already seen: the interdependence of free will and connection. Each thread, representing an individual life, held the power to make choices. Yet those choices were never made in isolation. Every decision, action, and intention influenced not only the individual thread but also the countless connections that wove the tapestry into its intricate and ever-evolving design. Free will, the guide explained, was the force that allowed each thread to shape its own path. But connection was what gave those choices meaning. In the tapestry, threads that were deeply connected to others shone with a resilience and brightness that came from their interwoven nature. These connections amplified the light of each thread, creating patterns of beauty and harmony that extended far beyond any one individual. In one scene, I observed a woman making a difficult decision about her career. She was torn between accepting a lucrative job offer that aligned with her ambitions and choosing a role that would allow her to spend more time with her family. As she reflected on her choice, her thread flickered with tension, its light wavering as she considered the potential consequences. When she ultimately chose the path that prioritized her relationships, her thread began to glow with a steady light. This light extended outward, strengthening the threads of her family and creating ripples of connection that influenced her colleagues, friends, and community. The guide emphasized that the woman's choice wasn't simply about sacrifice or selflessness. It was about recognizing the interconnectedness of her life with those around her and choosing to act in alignment with that awareness. Her decision demonstrated how free will and connection were not opposing forces but complementary ones, each enriching the other and contributing to the flow of light within the tapestry. I was then shown an example of how choices rooted in disconnection could create tension within the web. In one scene, a man made decisions driven by fear and a desire for control, prioritizing his own interests over the well-being of others. His thread appeared tense and strained, its light dimmed by the weight of his choices. The guide revealed that while his free will allowed him to act independently, the lack of connection in his decisions weakened not only his thread but also the surrounding threads. Yet even in this darkness, there was hope. When the man later chose to reflect on his actions and seek reconciliation, his thread began to heal. its light restoring the connections he had strained. The vision also revealed the reciprocal nature of free will and connection. Threads that embraced their connections, acting with love, compassion, and authenticity, were not only stronger but also more flexible. These threads could adapt to challenges, bending without breaking, and their light provided strength and support to others. In one example, I saw a community facing a natural disaster. Their threads were stretched thin by the weight of loss and uncertainty. Yet their collective choice to support one another created a network of light that sustained them through the crisis. Their connections didn't just help them survive, they allowed them to grow stronger. Their threads weaving into patterns of unity and resilience. Another powerful example involved a teacher who had dedicated her life to mentoring young people. Her thread was vibrant and steady, its light radiating outward to touch the threads of her students and their families. The guide showed me how her intentional choice to nurture her connections created ripples of light that extended far beyond her immediate influence. Her students, inspired by her guidance, carried her light into their own lives, creating new patterns of connection and meaning within the tapestry. This demonstrated how free will, when exercised in alignment with connection, had the power to create enduring legacies of light. The guide also showed me how free will and connection influenced the healing of the tapestry. In one scene, I saw a family grappling with a history of conflict and misunderstanding. Their threads were knotted and strained, their light dimmed by the weight of generational pain. Yet when one member chose to act with compassion and understanding, their thread began to glow more brightly. This light extended to the surrounding threads, gradually entangling the knots and restoring the flow of connection within the family. The guide explained that the healing of the tapestry often began with a single choice, a moment of courage, forgiveness, or love that created ripples of light capable of transforming even the most strained sections. One of the most profound lessons from the vision was the importance of intentionality in aligning free will with connection. In the tapestry, I saw threads that shone with a unique brilliance, not because they were free from challenges but because their choices were guided by a deep awareness of their impact on others. In one example, a man facing a moral dilemma chose to act with integrity. Despite the personal cost, his decision not only strengthened his own thread but also inspired those around him to act with courage and authenticity. The guide emphasized that these intentional choices, rooted in connection, were what created the most enduring patterns of light within the tapestry. The vision also revealed how connection influenced the evolution of free will. In the tapestry, threads that were deeply connected to others were more likely to act with compassion, empathy, and a sense of responsibility. These threads understood that their choices were not isolated but part of a larger story, a story that depended on their contributions to thrive. In contrast, threads that were disconnected or isolated often struggled to see beyond their immediate circumstances. Their choices guided more by fear or self-interest than by love or understanding. As I absorbed these lessons, I began to see my own life through the lens of free will and connection. I thought about the choices I had made, both the ones that strengthened my connections and the ones that had introduced tension into my relationships. The guide reminded me that every choice was an opportunity to realign, to act in a way that honored the interconnectedness of my thread with those around me. The interplay of free will and connection wasn't just a lesson from the tapestry, it was a call to action. It reminded me that my choices, no matter how small, carried the potential to influence the web in profound and lasting ways. It was a reminder that I wasn't just an individual thread, I was part of a living, evolving masterpiece shaped by the contributions of every being within it. As the vision of free will and connection began to fade, I felt a deep sense of purpose and responsibility. I understood now that my choices weren't just about me, they were about the tapestry as a whole. About the light and beauty that could be created when free will and connection worked in harmony. And as I prepared to move forward, I carried this truth with me, a reminder that every moment was an opportunity to choose connection, to add light, and to contribute to the unfolding patterns of the tapestry. As the vision reached its culmination, the guide revealed the full expanse of the tapestry, its intricate patterns stretching infinitely in all directions. Every thread, every connection, and every ripple of light contributed to a living, evolving symphony, a masterpiece that transcended time and space. This final revelation wasn't just about the tapestry's beauty, It was about its eternal nature and the role each thread played in shaping its harmony. The guide explained that the tapestry wasn't static or finished, it was alive, constantly responding to the choices, intentions, and connections of its threads. Every action added to its complexity. Every moment contributed to its unfolding story. This dynamic nature was a reflection of the interplay between free will, connection, and the guiding energy of light that infused the tapestry with life. In one of the most profound moments of the vision, the guide showed me how the light of the tapestry flowed beyond the individual threads, extending into realms I couldn't fully comprehend. This light wasn't confined to the physical world or limited by the boundaries of human understanding. It was infinite, reaching into the past, present, and future, connecting all beings and all experiences in a single, unified whole. The guide then focused my attention on the role of intention in shaping the tapestry's eternal symphony. Threads that acted with love, authenticity, and a commitment to the greater good created patterns of light that resonated deeply within the web. These patterns didn't just enhance the tapestry's beauty, they also strengthened its resilience, creating a foundation that allowed the entire web to withstand the challenges and tensions of existence. One example involved a woman who had spent her life advocating for justice and compassion. Her thread was vibrant and steady, its light radiating through the threads of those she had touched. The guide showed me how her intention to act with integrity and courage had created ripples of light that extended far beyond her immediate influence. Even after her physical thread had faded, her light continued to resonate within the tapestry, inspiring others to carry forward her legacy. In contrast, the guide showed me threads where actions, though outwardly impressive, lacked the depth of intention needed to create lasting resonance. These threads contributed to the tapestry in the moment but didn't leave a lasting impact. The guide explained that it wasn't about achieving grand outcomes or being celebrated. It was about acting with a genuine desire to contribute to the light and harmony of the web. The vision also revealed the role of collective efforts in shaping the tapestry's eternal symphony. In one scene, I saw a community coming together to support a family in need. Their threads wove into a pattern of light that was uniquely beautiful, reflecting the collective intention to act with love and unity. The guide emphasized that these collective patterns amplified the flow of light, creating ripples that extended far beyond the immediate moment. These efforts didn't just benefit the individuals involved, they enriched the entire tapestry, demonstrating the power of collaboration and shared purpose. As the guide continued to show me the tapestry, I began to understand the profound importance of alignment, of choosing to live in harmony with the flow of light and the greater design. Threads that aligned with this flow, acting with love, gratitude, and authenticity, created patterns of beauty and strength. These threads weren't free from challenges, but their light remained steady, their connections resilient. In one of the final scenes, the guide revealed how the tapestry embraced the full spectrum of existence. It wasn't just about light and harmony, it also encompassed moments of tension, darkness, and struggle. These moments, though difficult, were integral to the tapestry's growth and evolution. They provided opportunities for transformation, for threads to exercise free will and contribute to the light in ways that added depth and richness to the web. I was then shown how the tapestry reflected the intergenerational nature of connection and impact. In one example, a grandmother's thread shone with golden light, its ripples extending through the threads of her children, grandchildren, and beyond. Her choices, rooted in love and gratitude, created a legacy of light that influenced the tapestry for generations. The guide emphasized that every thread had the potential to create this kind of impact, to contribute to patterns of connection and meaning that would endure long after the thread's physical presence had faded. The guide concluded the vision with a final, powerful truth. The tapestry wasn't just a reflection of existence, it was a co-creation. Each thread, through its choices, connections, and intentions, played a vital role in shaping the web. The tapestry wasn't something separate from us, it was a living, evolving masterpiece that reflected the collective contributions of all beings. As the vision began to fade, I felt a profound sense of peace and purpose. I understood now that my life wasn't just about my own journey, it was part of something far greater. A symphony of light and connection that transcended time and space. Every choice I made, every connection I nurtured, Every moment of love or gratitude contributed to the tapestry's eternal beauty. The guide left me with one final message. You are a thread within this tapestry. And your light matters. Choose to shine, to connect, and to contribute. Every moment is an opportunity to add to the symphony. When I returned to the physical world, I carried this truth with me. My life, once seen as a series of disconnected moments, was now a part of something infinite and interconnected. Every choice, every action, every relationship was an opportunity to add light, to strengthen connections, and to contribute to the eternal beauty of the tapestry.